All right here. All right, so it looks like you all can kind of see my screen. Is that correct? You all can see my screen?
Yes, we see the property inspections addendum.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, so we're going to start there, but before I do that, I'm going to go into a few things as well, just to make sure that we're all up on point here. All right, buyer broker and listing agreements are not complete until after you, the client, have signed them and they have been and e-signed them, and then please send them to me for review, and I should also be e-signing them on any documents where it says broker. So please restrain from doing any major work with them until at least I've reviewed and e-sign those documents. So please do that. I greatly appreciate it, and we can go from there. Also, I was on a Bright MLS webinar today, and you should get onto that if you can. There are a lot of good programs that they're coming out with. One I'll mention is what's called Nestly. It is a leads sign up program, and they tell you there, don't put your clients on it, but feel free to utilize that and go into your Bright MLS and sign up for Nestly. Nestly will get leads to you that are not working with other real estate agents, and it's a free service that's offered through your MLS. So it's called Nestly. It's just been rolled out. Excuse me. Let me grab some water here because my throat gets kind of dry. So that is a good program for you. Definitely jump on that. Also, upload your headshot to MLS, to the Bright MLS. It's very easy to do. If you can't figure it out, just call 301-838, I think it's 7200, and they will help you to get started on that. What I'm trying to get everybody to do is establish a very good online presence. Okay, online presence is really important. It's going to help build your business. And also, Bright MLS is in the process of developing a mobile app, so you will be able to update your listings on the fly from an app on your phone. Okay, so please start looking out for that. A couple of other things. Please take the time to clean up your social media feeds to increase your business. You can take a look at mine, DMV Home Selling Pro, um, and see. I don't have a lot of personal stuff. You have to intersprinkle some little personal things so that they know that you're a human being and they know that it's not being just fed in by a social media feed, like Keeping Current Matters. There's several of them out there that automatically post content for you, but they need to see it's a little bit of you. But do not put too much in there because people right by you because they're saying, "Oh well, hey, you're not, you're out here having too much fun to be a professional." So it's real important as you monitor your social media feeds and be careful. You should have them business oriented, but when you have a lot of personal stuff or you have a personal site, people will find your name on there too, and they'll go there and they'll make a judgment as to whether they're going to deal with you or not. Okay, so you remember you're in business and you're a brand. Okay, so every aspect of you is a brand. So you have to treat it like a brand. You would think of any major brand that you know of, and they protect that brand's integrity. They protect that brand's position in the mind of the public or the buying public, so to speak. So definitely make sure that you do that. A few little cute things are nice, but make sure that they don't hurt your business. Make sure they don't see you flying all over the place, holding solo cups and all that other kind of good stuff, because you're in business and that will come back and hurt you. Okay, I'm going to start out with my commission OHT, the commission objection handling technique. Now, this is to be used in a situation where somebody says, "Hey, what does your company charge for commissions?" You can tell them, give them the number. And because pretty much everybody on here is under my brokerage, then we do 6%. Now, bottom line is I'm probably not going to fight you on that, but you need to learn some objection handling techniques when you get that objection. Because they say, well, I'm interviewing realtors and Joe Blow over here at ABC Realty is going to do it for -4%, whatever like that. So, first of all, well, your first thing is, well, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, it's really not my money. It belongs to the broker. In case you don't understand, and I'll explain this to you, the commission that you're paying is broken up into 4 different parts. My company will get a part, they'll give me a part. The other agent's company will get a part, and then that agent will get a part. So it's broken up into 4 different pieces. So it's not like all of this money is going to me. If you're in Prince George's County, when you do the Prince George's County net sheet, I was on the forms committee when I got that done so that you could see this is what I'm going to give the listing agent. This is what the buyer's agent is going to get. So the seller doesn't see that one big, huge number and think that you are getting all of that. So that's first of all. So you tell them, hey, it's not my money. It's definitely not all my money. It's my broker's decision, things like that. So that could be one way to handle the objection technique. Another way is to let the seller know, hey, the more that money doesn't go all to me, a lot of that money goes to ads. And the more advertising I do, the more buyers you're going to get theoretically, and then the more net profit you're going to get. So that is money that I'm going to be using to expose your home to the entire marketplace so that we can get the highest possible offers that we possibly can. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you do want the most money on your bottom line and the highest offers, right? Well, then don't tie my hands. Please let me do this. Is what we standardly charge. You're not charging you any extra than what we charge our other clients, but we get it done for you with that. Okay, so that's another way to handle that. So you it's not my money, and then the net profit situation. Let me open up here so I can see if anybody's trying to pop in here. But and and now if all else fails and they still hold into it, say, hey, look, it's company policy. That's what I don't have the authority to just tell you yes or no. That's something that we can do. So, and this is called a set. It's a kind of combination OHT. This is the set aside. Say, look, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'll deal with that. I'll have a conversation with my broker about that. But can we just set that to the side for a minute so that I can show you all that I'm going to do? Because when you're asking for me to discount something and you don't know all I'm going to do, is that really fair to me? I mean, is that fair? You don't even know what I'm going to do, all the magic and wonderful things that I'm going to do for you. You just want to make more money. And that's the bottom line. Anytime they come at you for commission, they think they're saving or making more money. And that's where you have to come up with the skill set and the tool set and the mindset to be able to dissuade them from that thought process so that they understand that they're getting a great, great deal for you. So, sometimes, it's the difference between buying a Volkswagen or buying a Mercedes-Benz. They both come from Germany. But, there's a big difference in it. Okay? And company policy and if you have to bite the bullet on it, say, hey, look, let's do this. If I don't have enough time to market the property because you're lowering the amount of money that I have to work with, can you at least drop the price so we have a better chance of getting your home sold and getting you out of here, and then getting your home sold? And somewhere in your conversation, you know what their motivation is. You have to getting your home sold and get to their motivation. So that's all in how you did. Those are just a few of the objection handling techniques that we're gonna throw at you for today. Okay. All righty. Let me check my open this thing all the way up and see it. Make sure I don't have anybody. Gianna, can you still co-host? If you can, just make sure everybody gets let in.
Okay, if it allows me to, I will. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All righty. I don't hear any more binging and dinging, so I guess we're gonna rock and roll on. Okay. Where else can I check that? We go to see participants, and yep, nobody's hanging out in the chat room. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead on now. What I'm going to talk the document that I'm going to be talking about today, and again, can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic, fantastic. This is the property inspections addendum. So when you sell a house, when you write the contract, you're going to want to make sure that the buyer has every opportunity to have a home inspection. Now I know in this really crazy market that we've been in, sellers are looking for, or actually the agents of the buyers are telling their buyers, "Hey, you may have a better shot if you do not ask for a home inspection." That is a dangerous street to be walking down, and let me tell you why. Imagine if you're, most of the times, 99.999% of the time, these transactions go to settlement, no problem. But that one that goes sideways, you're going to be standing in front of a judge who, by the way, at their salary level, has purchased a few houses over their lifetime. And you're going to have to explain to them why you told that buyer, your client, to not get a home inspection. And of course, there's not going to be the client talking to them, going to be their lawyer. And the lawyer's going to say, "Hey, man, that no good, dirty agent wouldn't let my client get a home inspection on the house, and then they bought it, and they had a wet basement and a pool in the basement and all this kind of stuff and things like that." So I want you to handle this transaction, this part of it properly. And I'm going to be sharing with you a situation that I ran across with a home inspection. So, okay, this is the property inspection addendum. It's stated for today between Joseph Biden and Melania Trump. They are the buyers of the house. Okay, and Mr. Seller and Mrs. Seller and Ms. Seller. See, I'm politically correct there. I didn't want to say Mrs. Seller or Ms. Seller. We gonna get it right. And the property address is 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue Northwest. Okay, so now this inspection contingency this form is the newest form. I think you'll see down here. It's dated in this past year, something like 2023. 2023. So this is brand spanking new. And please, when you're writing contracts, I ask everybody to do this. Please read every word in that form. Now, you don't have to read it each and every time, but you need to read it whenever you're getting ready to use it, and especially if it's changed, to see what the changes are. So this inspection contingency is pretty simple up the top. It goes on to say that this is the buyer and seller agreeing that within so many days, and you need to use a reasonable amount of days. In that number of days, what you want to do is make sure that you have enough time to contact a home inspector and get onto their schedule. Now, I tend to use a home inspector that I've used for a long time. He's very, very good, and he's very, very so good that he's not always available the next day, the next 2 days, and things like that. So I tend to give myself a little bit more time. Obviously, if the buyers or the sellers have a problem with that, they can counter that, and then you can see what you can do, or maybe find another inspector, maybe in the same company or somebody else altogether differently to get it done within that time frame. Okay, so you want to conduct. Now, the thing to know about this is something that's new, is that you are allowed to conduct those inspections listed below in subparagraph A that are initial. See how this is in bold, that are initial by both the buyer and the seller. Now, the issue that I had is a situation where the buyer said, "Hey, yeah, we want the structural, we want a mold, and we want the lead-based paint and the wood-destroying insects. We want all of that." Okay, and I had all four. Then at the last minute, they came in and said, "Hey, I want the radon too." So now this contract was already been ratified, so the sellers agreed to those four. They did not agree to the radon, and there was a big pushback, mostly by the agent. I didn't have a conversation with that seller. It was my buyers, but I didn't have a conversation with that seller. So I'm not sure whether I think all of it was coming from him. Well, they can't do that. Just say they absolutely can't, and he was absolutely right, because it wasn't something that was agreed to by both of the parties. Okay, now we were able to schmooze it through, and they went ahead and did it anyway. And I think the sellers were kind of okay, but he was miffed. He was really, really, really upset on that. But that's he was in the right. Okay, we got it done. We're through. Everything's fine. The radon came back with very little bit of radon, like much way below normal and things like that. So everything worked out fine. But what I don't want you guys to do is to get caught up in all of that, and it goes sideways on you. Okay, so lead-based paint, obviously, if it's a house built before 1978, or even in some cases, even if it's 1980, and I'll tell you why. They stopped making lead-based paint in about 1974, 76. They gave it till 78 because they figured some paint was still sitting on the shelves that might have had lead in it. So that's why the law says 1978, any houses built before 1978. But if it's even close, you won't hurt yourself by putting that in here. If it's early 80s or something like that, it probably will not come up, but you will have protected yourself, your client, and us from a lawsuit. So keep that in there. If they're getting a termite, find that out and whether it's necessary. And I would always say get that anyway. It's no big deal, but if it's termites, it's easy to deal with, and at least you can have a conversation about it. A lot of people say, well, the lender says I don't need a termite, so don't get it. No, I say get the termite report done. Most home inspectors these days do the termite report, so it's very, very easy. And additional inspections, can anybody give me an idea what additional inspections would be? Just a thought. Come on, this is going to be interactive. They're not going to be sitting back eating and playing tic-tac-toe. Talk to me, please.
Roofs, maybe. I don't know.
Well, roof would actually be part of the structural and mechanical, but that's a good guess.
Maybe well and septic.
Correct. Well and
If
septic
you have
could be, and that is actually well, you'll see in here. Well and septic is dealt with differently because they're telling them in another part. If you got to get a well and septic, it's going to be it's on another addendum. But I got one for you. Ooh. And that is exactly what happened. This house that I'm talking about here had a pool. So I put the pool inspection in there. They were able to get the pool inspected and all of that good stuff. So anything that's not covered in these first six or was it seven? These first eight, first seven. Yes, you can add that in here. Pool, whatever, things like that. Now, one thing I didn't do because of form change, but I had in here a statement that you can maybe get by with it that says for any other buyer concern. Now, some sharp agents will strike that out, say, no, we're going to stick to this, and I was able to get away with it on my other addendums. But when they switch these forms, the automatic things that we would always have in there were taken out. So you can do or any other buyer concerns or something like that. Anything is saying nothing like that is illegal. So you're good with that. Okay. Now, this is please, again, this is a document that's fairly new, like very, very new. We saw it 2023, right? So, it came out January, like 3 or 4 months ago, right? All right, so the right to terminate. Now, this explains an inspection process that the buyer has a right to terminate it. And there was something else we had to do before. All of that's been consolidated into one document. But the buyer can only terminate it based on responding in a certain amount of time, and they can get out of the contract totally. Okay, it says it right here. If the results of the inspection are unsatisfactory to the buyer may terminate the contract of sale by delivering a unilateral notice of termination, which is another form under contract of sale to seller by the deadline. Buyers not required to specify the basis of buyer's dissatisfaction. Buyer's right to terminate the contract of sale is stated in this subsection expires at the deadline. So the number of days that you have to do to get the right up here, the number of days that you have to have the home inspection done by. If after that they cannot just terminate it without putting their money in jeopardy. Okay. Now they also have a right to negotiate. So this is the one where you normally used to seeing where they would come in and negotiate. Hey, look, I'm gonna I want you to do this, that, and the other, and so on and so forth. We'll get down to that in a little bit. Let's just letting them know they have the right to negotiate. And here. Now the seller has to respond, because no matter what days you put in here up top, the seller, whenever that inspection is done, has 5 days. Within 5 days after the buyer delivers the written request for repairs and/or the seller credit, the seller shall notify the buyer in writing what they're going to do. And if the seller agrees to all of the requests for repairs and things like that, and/or seller credit, contract of sale remains in full force and effect. So basically, if you come through and said, I want you to do this, 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 and this, and this, and give me $500, the seller might say, gotcha, boom, sign off. That deal is locked in. So sometimes there are different programs out here that teach buyers that they can get out under the home inspection contingency, and they can if they do it the right way. But a lot of times the people who are teaching them that don't know the right way, and they just tell them, okay, if you don't like it, just you can just walk away. And that is not always the case. And if it has to be done properly, like in this case, not only do they have to walk away, you have to then turn in that form and everything else like that. So the seller has to respond within 5 days. If the seller agrees to do everything, then then everything goes marching forward. But I'm not going to read this to you guys verbatim, dictatum. Please, this is your profession. Read the forms. Read the forms. Read the forms, so we don't have to both go to an ethics complaint or to a court. Okay. All right. So additional negotiations. I'm going to cover that. Okay. I'm going to go back up here. So the seller may elect to terminate the contract of sale. They may say, okay, I'm not doing any of this. Bye. I don't want to do anything. Okay. So let me back that up there a little bit. Okay. If the seller agrees to all of the requested repairs and/or seller credit, the contract of sale shall remain in full force and effect as amended. If the seller agrees to only some of the requested repairs and/or seller credit, or fails to respond within the 5-day period, by written notice to seller given within 2 days of the receipt of the seller's notice from the date of that written notice, has to have been provided by the seller, may elect to terminate the contract of sale. So if the seller doesn't get back to the buyer in time, they can terminate the sale, or they can waive the requested repairs and move on. They might say, well, I didn't really want that done anyway. That's not that big a deal for me. Let's go sell them. I'm getting everything else I want. So let's go, or they can actually continue negotiation. Let's go back and forth and things like that. So this is just stating all of this. Next document, we're going to kind of go over how all of that's done. And any additional negotiations have to happen within 2 days of delivery of any counter offer. So you got a 2-day window. You get it here, you have to respond in 2 days, get it. And anybody who doesn't respond in that time period will have been deemed to have agreed to the counter offer. Okay. The failure of the receiving party to timely respond to any counter offer shall constitute their automatic acceptance of that counter offer. So if you have these 2-day clocks running, notice it doesn't say 2 business days. This is 48 hours. Okay. Now, there may be somewhere else in the contract where it describes days, things like that. But for right now, I just want you to know 2 days. If you have 2 days, whoever hasn't responded has agreed to the contract. They don't even have to do anything in writing. Say, I agree. If it's 2 days and there's been no response, now, as an agent, you never want to make that assumption. You want to always be clear and ask for the other agents, hey, look, are they okay with everything? Because they haven't responded. We're past the 2 days. From a negotiating standpoint, gives you a little bit of leverage if you still need to get something else going there. Then, but then you can do that. Okay. So there you have that. And I'm going to go down contract termination and deposits. So it's either party terminates the contract in a sale, the contract shall become null and void, and all deposits shall be distributed according to the deposits paragraph. Okay, we all know. Okay, rights and obligations of buyer and seller. Seller shall make the property accessible for the agreed upon inspections. They can't keep the inspector out of the house during the time. Okay. Repairs, correction, and reinspection. Seller agrees to complete repairs and provide receipts in sufficient time for buyer to inspect prior to settlement. Now, I'll cover this right now. If you're putting together the things that we'll see in the next form of what you want the sellers to do, then they make sure that you put in there that the sellers have this fixed by a licensed professional whose business it is to fix those type of things. Okay, so let me go back to get the rest of my forms here. Come on. So I close this file out. I had everything queued up, but as you can imagine. Okay, property inspections notice. Now this is the fun form. Get up in there. There we go. Property inspection notice. Okay. All right. So same party. Now this is what is turned in, and many of you know after you've gotten to the point that the home inspection's been done. All right. So when you're sending this form in, the seller doesn't have any clue of what you're doing, but you're going to note on here whether you're sending in for structural, mechanical issues, mold, environmental, radon, whatever, chimney, lead-based paint, pool, anything else like that that's in there. You let them know first. And this is the formal notice from the buyer to the seller. And it gives them notice. And then you need to check one of these. No unsatisfactory conditions were found, and buyer is not requesting corrective action from seller. That's the one I like to see the most. Okay, that's the one where somebody says, and I had it on a transaction. The buyers did their home inspection. They say, little minor stuff. We're not even going to ask for anything to be done. We're just glad to have the house and not be through there. And that one particular house had like 25 showings, so they were glad to get the house, and they weren't going to push back on anything. All right, now the second B is where the buyers attached a copy of the entire inspection report. Okay, and request that the following list of unsatisfactory conditions be repaired, corrected, and so on and so forth. Now, if you are the listing agent, now I know I'm doing this, these are buyer forms I'm working with, but if you're a listing agent, just know that Maryland is a known or should have known state. That means if you share if you share the information that's in the home inspection report, because it says there that you have to provide that home inspection report to the seller. Okay, so it says the buyers attach a copy of the entire inspection report and then request XYZ be done. If you send that whole thing to the seller, then the seller is now responsible for everything that's in that report. In other words, they are now knowledgeable of all the defects of the house and must disclose that to all future buyers. If this transaction doesn't work out, then that seller is now responsible for that. So, and in order to finish up that thought, so what you want to do is just deal with the PIN notice. So this PIN notice has to have all, we call it a PIN, property inspection notice. Okay, so when the PIN notice comes out, then you can present that to the seller, telling specifically what that buyer wanted. Now that doesn't give them the report, but that's saying what this buyer didn't like, and that's safer. I personally do not give the home inspection report. I don't even open it. When I get the email with the home inspection report and this PIN notice, I just open the PIN notice. I just open the PIN notice. I don't give them the home inspection report. Okay. So just know that, and these are the lines that you would write down all the things that need to be done. So you'd write down, you need to fix the fans in the living room, or this, that, and the other. All of that kind of stuff you put in here. And if you run out of space on here in terms of typing up what you're going to write, don't worry about it. This is not all you need. You can type on and on and on and on and on, and just simply another addendum is going to be manifest itself there. So you're fine with it. Just put in what you need to put in, and just be as detailed as you possibly can. This is something that a lot of agents do. They just say, well, look, they need to do items number 1, 5, 7, 9, 10, 11 on the inspector's report. No, you want to draw it all out on this document, because the inspector may never see the report. And I've made agents do that. Like I said, on my listings, they want to say, I want them to do numbers 1, 10, 5, 7, all of that kind of stuff. I said, no, you need to write it all out on the PIN notice and send it to me, because my seller will not see that home inspection report. They're not going to see any part of it. Not at all. If it's not written on this addendum the way you want it, then they're not going to see it. So you have to do, and they would be kind of pickles, but they get it done. All right. So now once we get from that point on the PIN, like I said, if you run out of room, just don't worry. It's going to fill up a whole nother addendum. Even though this is a 3-page document, it's going to fill up a whole entire addendum of all of the stuff that you put in. And it's going to automatically populate onto that form. Now, once you get to this, where you've had the home inspection, these are the things that you've asked to be done. Now we're down to a response from the seller to the buyer. And now the seller can click A, saying that they agree to complete everything, and no response from the buyer's required. They can say that they're going to do it all, click it here, sign down in here, and they're done. There's no more response. That's the end of the negotiations on this home inspection issue. Or they can say the seller will not complete. Now, see how that went from there to there? Didn't let you do both, did it? See, so it says you got to pick either A, B, or C. Or the seller will not complete any of the repairs specified, and that's just simply saying, I ain't doing it. Do what you want to do, okay? Or you can go to C. Seller agrees to complete some, but not all corrective actions. And the following is a list of unsatisfactory conditions that the seller will complete. And then the seller's going to write. So you up here you have like 15 things that you want the seller to fix, okay? And down here the seller say, no, I'm going to do this, this, or this. So you only pick one of those for the seller, and again, we represent a buyer, so that's where the seller's going to come back and just get that. Then you have a conversation with the buyer, say, hey, look, is this good enough for you? So what do you want to do? You want to go back again and continue negotiations and ask them to do a little bit more? You want to try to get some money, as you can see here, because you can do both of these. You can ask it, or this will be from the seller. The seller say, I'll do A, B, and C, or whatever, and I'll give you $5,000 for the rest. I'll give you, something. Now, again, when they do that, you have to make sure that you're not leaving money on the table by them. Maybe they already gave you 3% in the contract itself, and they're saying I'm gonna give another $5,000. Well, if you have some financing, 5% down, conventional specifically, you can't get more than 3% closing help. So that seller's doing that to get you, or their agent is informing them, hey, look, you do that, you can't give them any more money. They can't use it anyway. So if you're representing the buyer and you get some more money here, make sure that your lender says, oh yeah, that's no problem, we can do that. Obviously, if you get an FHA finance, you have up to 6% closing costs you can ask for. Yes, you can do all of that kind of stuff. Still run it past the lender, because they may say, that may pop something in their mind. So the underwriter may simply say, hey, look, you know what, you're going to be doing all of this stuff, and now the seller wants to give you an extra $7,000. I want to know what was wrong. I'm not going to prove this transaction when there's all this stuff going on in the house, and I don't know. I don't. The appraiser might not have caught it. They're only in there for 10 minutes. But I have an inspector that says that they may ask for the whole inspection report. So then you have to be careful, make sure that you can use that money. And then when you're further on with this transaction, then now it's the response from the buyer to the seller. Buyer having received the seller's written notice 3, they will not do this, that, and the other. Then the buyer can decide whether they want to accept the seller's response and waives the corrective action, and they just want to buy the house and go. It's not that big a deal to them, and maybe it's the right house, and they'll deal with that themselves. They're very realistic. A lot of that has to do with the conversations you have with them along the way, letting them know that you're not going to get 150% of what you want in a house. If you get 60, 70, 80, 90% of what you wanted in a house, that's a good deal. You're not building this house from scratch. And even many of us who sold new homes know that sometimes even after they bought a new house, they realize there's something they would have done differently. Or you can say the buyer just accepts the seller's offer and the credit. They're going to take a little bit of stuff they're going to do and take the money and run. Or buyer kills the deal. Okay. Or you can come back with a counter offer. So this is a whole negotiation here that's happening after the contract's been negotiated and can kill deals unless you keep your mind open to what all options you have and how. And those are the type of things, run it past me. Let's talk about it. Let's see, hey, well, what would I do? What, and then we may run past a couple other people. Linda's been out here a long time doing this thing. What, let's bounce. I bounce things off of her, so yeah, we can all do that. But let's put our collective heads together, and then response from the seller to buyer's election of the paragraph, and then this just kind of ties everything up, since everybody's in agreement of what's going to be going on, things like that, and okay, and then seller proposes following. Now, if we get all the way down to here, we're going back and forth in negotiations, and then finally, it should end up here. Seller kills the contract, buyer accepts the counter offer, or seller proposes another counter offer, in which case we're still negotiating. And then down in number 6, response from buyer, they either go with the seller's counter offer or they terminate the contract. So the buyer still has full control over what they're going to do and how they're going to go forward with it. And all that kind of stuff there. Let me check and where. So this is a good form. It is pretty much in every contract. Okay, so I want you to be aware that it is there, and know how to work it, read it, and know how to work it. Now I'm going to go over the seller contribution form, which is a closing cost. Yeah. Let's see here. Go seller contribution addendum. Come on now. Go right in here. Yep, right here. Right, now this is another form. This is the closing cost form. This is where we're going to go in now. I'm going to cover this form when we all pretty much kind of know this, but in this form, again, I covered it earlier. Don't put in a dollar amount or the 3%. You pick one. Put in a dollar amount and or put in a percentage. I like to use percentage because it represents a dollar amount, but it's a smaller number. So on $200,000 transaction, I say 3%. That's $6,000. I don't want to put $6,000 over there. I want to put the little number, put the 3%. That's a personal choice. Do it the way you want it, the way your client wants it, and all of that kind of good stuff. So, do anything that you along those lines, and you'll be fine with that. So choose one. Don't put them both in here. Okay, and make sure that you don't request, again, like I said, more seller help than the buyer can use. I did have a transaction like that. The seller was very, very motivated to sell the house, especially since we got way over what we expected, way over what the comps wanted. So he was making a ton of money, not a little extra money there. And he was like, okay, look, and some things came up in the not in so much in the home inspection, some of it in the home inspection, and a little bit on the appraiser. He wanted a couple of knobs put on, stuff like that. So he went ahead and knocked those out, and in order to get around all the other stuff that was coming up in home inspection, because the home inspection was done, and then the appraiser was done right after. So we knew that once the appraiser got in there, his list was small. So he said, "Yeah, I'll go ahead and give him some money." And bottom line, he said, "I'll give him an extra $2,000." However, they didn't do their math, and the purchaser could only use $700 of that money. So he had a benefit of $1,300 that he could use, that he did not have to spend because somebody didn't do their math right. I did the math right. I knew he would get that money back, and I didn't tell him because I didn't want to be wrong, just in case there was some way that they was going to finagle around it. And they did do some really creative stuff, but nothing illegal to get at the $700. But they realized they weren't. The lady was going through. She had a down payment assistance program plus a seller closing help, and she probably got in the house for $500. So hey, everybody's happy though. That's all that matters to me. Everybody was happy. So make sure that you don't request any more than your seller will need. And then the last form I'm going to have time to cover tonight is CIT, change in terms. Okay. Now there are two change in terms forms in here. One is a change in terms addendum to the brokerage agreement, which I'm not going to get into. That's real deep stuff. We that's a new form. We haven't really seen that yet. I had to work with it, but I will talk about the when it's the regular change in terms. This form came about. Please use this form before writing this stuff out yourself. Very important. So, in order to explain a little bit about Forms Committee, if anybody is on here and wants to join the Forms Committee or join, this is a good committee to be on to learn about the forms, because you're going to be sitting down with a group of professionals, probably 10 other realtors, and talking about how we use these forms and what ways can we improve them, what can we take out, what ways can we look out for each other's liability and things like that, word them properly and things like that. So this form was kind of born out of that mindset of, hey, let's make it easy for the practicing realtors to not have to go making this stuff up, making up the language that's needed to get a transaction done. So it took a lot of the things like, hey, purchase price changes for whatever reason. It's not asking for a reason. Purchase price changes from 300 to 305. Okay, now there's probably a backstory to it. Okay, that's not anybody's business. The buyer and seller are okay with it. Agents know it's nothing illegal going on. So there it is. Okay, settlement date change. You're going to change the settlement date, and once you do one of these, have everybody initial over here. Settlement dates change from April 12th to April 28th. Okay, for whatever reason, they don't need a reason. Just need some initials over here. Written application for financing. You know, there's that page that says that the financing will be done by a certain amount of time. If there's something happens, you're changing lenders, or financing wasn't available, or the DPA money, down payment assistance money, ran out, you need to update that in the contract, because if it's not changed in the contract and this becomes part of the contract, then that seller can kick that contract right out. So you're supposed to have your financing written or financial application within 5 days of the contract being ratified, and here it is 10 days and you haven't done it, boom, your contract's dead. Same thing with the financing commitment. Okay, so the financing commitment can also be you have to have your financing done by, in that contract, you're gonna do your loan application if you haven't already done it. When I do mine, that says done. So I don't put a number of days they have for the loan application, because they don't get to go out until they have a loan application made. And all my lenders will ask for credit, income, assets, proof of it. So, you're taking people out, you're playing real estate, don't do that. We always talk about that. Get the lender approval first. That is step one. And then step two is we talk about how realistic they are about the house that they're looking for in the areas and things like that. But it's no sense even having a further conversation if you don't have this CIA written, taken care of. All right, written application for financing. So they have to make that application for financing within a certain time. We talked about that. Written financing commitment. So that means that the other line there says that they're going to have their loan conditionally approved, firm commitment by such and such a date and time, or such and such a date. So if that date changes and you're coming up on it and you need another couple of days, this is where you address that. And sometimes, like I said, the seller contribution changes. So the seller finds out, oh man, I know I said I was going to fix that patio, but I can't fix it. So let me give you some more money for closing costs if you can take care of it. And then question?
Yes, a quick question. So the pre-approval is different than the loan commitment approval or loan pre-approval.
Yes. So yes, the financing commitment is that part in the contract where you said you'll have the loan approved by. Now things can happen, like let's say a contract, normal contract 60 days. You tell them, okay, you get this contract. I have the loan approved in 35, 40 days. Okay, we're coming up on that 40th day. Maybe there's some mix-ups, but you're going to have it happen. Everybody thinks it's going to go. It's just we're not going to hit it on the 40 days. So in order to keep your contract in place, you changed this commitment from, I said I was going to have it on the 14th to now I'm going to have it on the 21st. No big deal. It's always before settlement anyway. So, but you're just clearing up that part of the contract so that the seller doesn't have a right to declare the contract null and void. Was that clear as mud?
Yep, thank you.
Cool. All right, seller contribution, we talked about that, if that changes, and then the other. So that is kind of where we have it. Do I have another form that I wanted to go to? No, that was all I really wanted to cover today. So far we've covered the buyer broker agreement, the contract of sale, the home inspection form, the property inspection notice or PIN, the seller contributions addendum, and the CIT or change in terms form. So this is really kind of a lot to get you through the contract. Next month. Now, next month I'm going to go over the FHA addendum, conventional addendum, lead-based payment forms, and a couple of other things like that. But do not do business because you're not sure these forms. First of all, go in and do the reading is fundamental. These forms are not made so that they are, they require a PhD or even a master's, and maybe not even GED. Most of them are just regular English. And there may be some things that you're not sure of. That's what I'm here for. Okay. And if I'm not sure, there's people that I can go to. Okay. But that's what you want to read the forms, and so that you're not filling in the blank your first time with a client in tow, depending on you to get them into their house and know what to do. Read things ahead of time. Like I say this all the time. I'm sorry, you're going to hear it again. You could make as much money as a physician without having to go through 4 years of medical school and reading all those medical journals and books and things like that. You can work hard, but you have to know these forms. Otherwise, you will end up losing it all in an ethics claim where you made a wrong mistake or made an assumption and didn't check, and now you're writing a check to the real estate commission for $25,000. Okay, that is not a fun place to be, right? So I'm going to be covering these other forms next month, and then I get out of that, then I'm going to go into the listing documents right after that. So that's what I'm going to pretty much be doing here and now. And now, many of y'all on here are Sellstate. We have a summit coming up in let me close this out there. We have a summit coming up in June. Okay, and that's going to be a good, fun thing to go to. You will be able to. Yours is on Thursday. Let me just look right here. Morning to say. So yeah, yours is going to be on Thursday the 15th. The brokers only is going to be on the 14th. So we're going down on 13th. For our brokers meeting on 14th, and then everybody, brokers and advisors, are coming in for the training on the 15th. That is going to be a really cool training. That is Brian Eisenhower, and if you go to our training website, he's the guy who has that training package. So many of y'all have been on that training packages there. So that's going to be good fun. And then what you may want to do is come down a day early, stay a day late. You can write the whole thing off, because you get to, if the law hasn't changed, you get to come in 2 days before the event, the day of the event, and stay 2 days after. And you can write off the whole thing as a business expense. So in Florida, Southwest Florida is a fine place to be in June. It's they're right on the water. The Luminary Hotel is awesome. And if you do let me know that you're coming, and that I sent out an email to you that you paid and registered and all that kind of good stuff, I will have a surprise for you. Okay, so everybody, just feel free to know that it's going to be good fun. All right. What I am going to do right now is to take a picture of everybody, and we got everybody in here. I see everybody in there. Hey Val, how you doing? Hey Jeanette. Okay, I didn't get a chance. I was all talking, so I didn't get a chance to say hello to everybody. Hey iPhone, whoever that is. But now let me open up any questions. We covered a lot of information, and I still have it up. I can reshare it if I need to. Just tell me if you have any questions. I did that good a job. Let me pat myself on the back.
Uh, uh, Chuck,
There you go, messing
I'm,
it up, Dolores. I was having a moment. No, go for it.
I could really wait, I guess, but
Mm-mm.
I was listening to, I guess I missed just a few minutes of the buyer brokerage form. And so, I can just wait. I
Well,
can
no,
just wait.
I didn't cover the
I
buyer
heard,
broker. Hold on, I didn't cover the buyer broker form today, but in the previous
oh,
last month's meeting, it's there and it's up on the YouTube channel, the Real Estate Answer Man. It's dated.
okay.
I think it says 3/8. Yeah, because it was 2/8 and 3/8 because February is exactly 4 weeks. So 3/8, and you can listen to it right there. You can zoom through it and get to the part that you need. But it's all I'm starting to put all of our meetings online just for the fact that like I talked to Aaron today. He's got to work late, so he can't be here, but he can come and get the information at some time because I want everybody to have access to the information. And besides which, it's not a bad thing. If you want to have it, go for it. It's all good. It's right there for you. If you want to go back to it, listen to it again and again and again. This stuff. I'm going to start loading up that Real Estate Answer Man channel with content that's going to help us to do more business.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure, absolutely. Any other questions? Yeah, hold on, I see something in chat. I don't know. Okay. Okay, good stuff. Good stuff. All right. So yeah, all is well. All hearts and minds are clear. All right, we're gonna end the video. Y'all take it easy now. Let's do
All
business.
right.
If you need me,
Goodbye.
don't
All
hesitate.
right, thank you. Bye.
All right, talk to you
Thanks,
later.
Doc.
Bye.
You got it. See you tomorrow, Kimberly.
Okay. Thank you. Bye. Leave me.
Bye.